21st primary ballot is co-hosted by the Greater Verde Valley Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters of Northern Arizona. So I am a member of the League of Women Voters, and I am your moderator for this forum. For over 100 years, the League of Women Voters has been a nonpartisan, activist, grassroots organization that believes voters should play a critical role in democracy. We are a recognized force in molding political leaders, shaping public policy, and promoting informed civic participation. We empower voters and defend democracy through advocacy, education, and litigation at the local, state, and national levels. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. Tonight's forum is being taped for broadcasting on the League of Women Voters Northern Arizona website, YouTube channel, and other media social outlets for your viewing. The purpose of this forum is to hear from the candidates why they want to be a city councilor in Cottonwood. It is also an opportunity for candidates to answer questions submitted by voters prior to the forum. The goal of the forum is fairness, civility, and engagement. I'd like to introduce our timekeeper, Kathy. Her role is to keep us on time. She has 3 signs: a 1-minute sign, she has a 30-second sign, and she has, I'm kidding, a sign. She will raise the minute sign and 30-second sign and then tell you how much time you have left, and she will raise the stop sign to signal you to end your sentence. Remember junior high school English teacher and what she said about run-on sentences? I couldn't help but think of that when I was reading that sentence. So. The format of this forum is in 3 parts. We'll have opening remarks from each candidate, which will be 2 minutes. We will have questions submitted by voters, and we will have closing remarks. We will go in a rolling order, so I will start with Heather first and progress, and then we'll give everybody equal kind of shot at being first on the next question. So I want to go over the guidelines of the forum. The moderator's role is to manage the forum fairly for the candidates and for the audience, with the goal of keeping the discussion moving forward. We ask 4 things of the candidates: be respectful of each other, speak your mind freely, do not engage in personal attacks, and do not interrupt one another, please. The audience is asked to refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or opposition to any of the candidates for their comments, please. The time limits on the responses to questions will be strictly observed. The moderator has the responsibility for enforcing these time limits, so if the guidelines are not adhered to, which I'm sure they will be, the moderator will have the discretion of ending the forum. I'd like to introduce the candidates running for City Council. We have Heather White, we have Christopher McDowell, we have Stephen DeWillis, and we have Scott Ellis. Absent is Debbie Wilden, and we will start with 2 minutes for the answer to the question of why you want to be a city councilor. I will read Debbie's statement. Kathy, please don't time me. I'm slow reading. What motivated you to run for office? This is the question that's posed to each one of you. Her response is, you might add again. At the end of the question, I was appointed 6 years ago, then elected when I ran for a second term. In a smaller community such as Cottonwood, A city council can impact housing costs, zoning decisions, public safety, local taxes, parks, infrastructure, and small business development. Also, change and growth are inevitable. I choose to get involved tangibly and focus on providing lasting benefits for all residents and businesses in a community-focused way. Serving on the city council is one of the most direct ways to influence Cottonwood's future. It allows me to shape policies, allocate resources, and represent residents' needs on the local level. The second part of this question is, what perspective would you bring to being on the council? Her response is, my personal attributes and professional background. A degree from the University of Arizona in Public Administration. I worked for the governor of Austin, Texas. 19 years of working in chambers of commerce as CEO, executive director, or director of economic development, with many years of preparing cost-saving budgets. A 20-year resident of Cottonwood, excellent and grateful relationships with local, regional, state, and national leaders, a positive attitude, strong work ethic, reliable, and will continue to actively listen to and ensure all perspectives are heard using problem solving and collaboration. I will continue to serve Cottonwood with my deep familiarity of local laws, ordinances, and current issues. This includes understanding economic, social, and environmental challenges unique to the Verde Valley. Transparency, integrity, civil engagement, and experiences are key to what I bring to the City Council as a candidate. Thank you. So, if we may now hear from you, what motivated you to run for office, and what perspective would you bring to being on the City Council? And you have 2 minutes.
May I stand up, or would you like
You can do what you like.
Okay, my name is Heather White, and the reason why I'm passionate about running for City Council is because I have a true passion to make this hometown home. I grew up here, I'm 3rd generation here, and I want to make it so that other people that are younger can give back to this community. And so I want to bring transparency to our residents, put residents first. I want to put transparency to our budget, so we're not just telling folks that it's gone to the general fund. And I want to make sure that we're using the money that we receive from tourism, from city taxes, to really invest in our community and focus on public safety. I don't think that public safety is a high priority. If you look at our budget, it's one of the lowest funded things on our budget right now. Certainly lower than tourism and some other items. And so again, just to put residents first, that's why I'm here.
Perspective, what you bring to the...
My perspective, what I bring to the City Council is, first, I do have background in analytics. I have background in healthcare. I have a whole resume, and I'm sure plenty of you guys out there do too. But what I bring is, again, passion for the residents. I've seen firsthand the decisions that have been made by this City Council, by previous City Councils. They just have a lack of vision and a lack of foresight. And so I'm able to not reinvent the wheel because I've seen the decisions that have been made and what results from that. So that's the biggest thing that I can bring.
Thank you. And now, please, Christopher.
Evening. My name is Christopher Dowell. I know he said Mick. There's no Mick. It's just Dowell. My ancestors got to Mick when they came across the pond. So why do I want to run for City Council? I ran for City Council about 2 years ago in a recall election because I felt like we had some severe problems on council and some severe challenges. The person that I ran against was one of those people. So I hope I have stuck to what I said I would, which was civility, collaboration, and some common sense. I have a history in government. Did 14 years in the United States Army, 29 years in the government sector and public safety. And I have a great relationship with a lot of the organizations throughout the Verde Valley. Being part of the Verde Valley Homeless Coalition, I'm on the Verde Valley Humane Society Board, Verde Valley Leadership. And honestly, I've been here about 9 years, but the 9 years I've been here, the growth, my own personal growth has been immense, just because of my involvement with other sectors of the city. My family has been here since the 50s and the 60s. My wife's family's been here since the 50s. My family's been here since the 50s. My dad was born in Prescott, so I have some history here, although they moved me down to Phoenix when I was younger. But that's why I want to serve. I want to serve the people. I want to make decisions based on what the people want.
Thank you.
You have a second part of that?
It was just to introduce yourself and tell you why, tell us why. Okay. Steve DeWillis.
Those are 2 minutes total, right?
2 minute questions, yes.
Two 2-minute questions?
No. just one.
Yeah, okay. That's what I've been doing.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Steve DeWillis. I'm currently on City Council. This is my first term. I am up for re-election, as Councilman Dowell pointed out. I was asked to run 3.5 years ago by former council member Owen Karat. I was a business owner at the time. We actually collaborated together. We were both automotive repair people. She thought that I'd be a good fit for the city, and I'd like to think that I have been. Yes, I was elected during that unfortunate council prior, but I wasn't a part of it. I'm here as a voice for the city of Cottonwood. I've lived in the Verde Valley since 1967. I've been around here for a long time, and I just felt like it was time for me to kind of try to pay back to the city what the city's done for me, what the residents have done for me, what they've done for my family. I live with my son, his wife, their 5 wonderful children. So what I do today, what we do today as a council, it's for them. It's for the future of this town. We have to be able to make the right decision. So that's why I ran. My perspective, what do I bring? Hopefully, transparency. I'm an open book. I want the city to be an open book, but we have to, we're only one voice. We're only one person on a council of 7. The other 6 may not agree with me, and they may say, no, so be it. But at least the city knows where I stand. I can't do anything for you as the residents unless I hear from you. So go to a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott?
Good evening. I'm going to stay seated. My foot's a little swollen, so bear with me, please. I'm not going to be as polished as the rest of these guys, so sorry. I'm Scott Ellis. This is my hometown. I grew up here. I'm an Arizona native. I've seen the growth in the area over the last 40 years. I've worked for the city for a little over 12 years, and I want to continue to be a part of it. I think there's a lot going for it. I think there's some things that need to be addressed, and that's why I'm here, trying to be part of it and continue to serve the community in any capacity that I can.
Thank you.
And the perspective I bring is, local roots, the inner workings of the city, being an employee for as long as I was, seeing how the decisions affect the residents, the visitors, the community as a whole, and I want to do what I can to make it the small town that everybody wants it to be. Growth is inevitable, but it needs to be smart growth, and make sure that it's somewhere that future generations want to be.
Thank you. The League of Women Voters has submitted a question for each of you. Christopher, we're going to start with you. This is going to be a 2-minute question. I will read it as many times as you need me to read it so that you can understand it clearly. And I will repeat the question for any of you that want clarification what the question is. As the Verde Valley continues to grow, what are the challenges and opportunities for Cottonwood? Specifically, tell us what you plan to do with these challenges and opportunities in your elected role.
Well, I think first and foremost, the biggest challenge with the growth of the city is how do you keep it Cottonwood? Because that's why we all live here, because it's Cottonwood. Growth, again, is inevitable, but it has to be managed to the point where we as residents still want to live here. I moved here because I didn't want to be down in the hustle and bustle. I enjoy walking into a restaurant and somebody going, "Hi, Chris." That's why I live here. So how do we do that as a city? That's what's most important, is how we gauge that growth, how we keep it Cottonwood. I can say that I've been in a lot of positions throughout my life where I was the boss. And yeah, I took input and I did my thing, but I ultimately made a decision. This has really been a learning experience for me, and how do 7 people get along on one council, and how do you collaborate, and how do you communicate those kinds of things. So as much as before I could snap my fingers and go, this is what we're going to do, it doesn't quite work like that anymore. And that's a different perspective for me. So that's been a challenge. What was the second part of that, Mr. Cook?
Put me on the spot, huh?
I'm giving you extra, this doesn't count.
Buried that sheet already.
I think it was how
How are you going to solve these challenges?
well, here we go. First of all, I'm not going to solve the challenges. That's just not going to happen for one person on a council so what I can do is, again, collaborate, communicate, and represent the citizens. There's going to be times where I'm not going to be able to fix the situation, but my vote will show that I was supporting the citizens and their thought rather than just, we see it a lot. We see, oh, this is a rubber stamp. It's not a rubber stamp. I challenge you to look at my voting record since I've been on this council for 2 years. And I'm usually on one side or the other. I'm not one of those, like, you rubber stamp everything. So just know that I'll listen. I sit down and talk with people all the time. And I really want to hear what you have to say, because that's where my decision goes.
Thank you. I'm going to read the question again since I fustigated on it. As the Verde Valley continues to grow, what are the challenges and opportunities for Cottonwood? Specifically, tell us what you plan to do with these challenges and opportunities if elected to that role. And it's your turn, Steve.
Okay. Challenge, bringing in big business. That's always a challenge. As the city grows, you have to kind of try and figure out what is going on and what's going to fit the best. And that is very difficult, because A lot of the residents have stated, oh, we need this big business. We can't support that big business right now. We can support this big business right now. So we have to figure out how to be able to entice that big business to come. And at the same time, we got to try and figure out how to house those employees. Housing is a huge problem. Affordable housing is going to be a forever ending, never ending thing. How am I going to change that? Fortunately, I can't. I am just one voice. I may get voted down, like I said earlier. But please understand that if you contact us, you talk to us, you give us your thoughts and your feelings about whatever project it is, we're going to look at it, we're going to weigh it, and we're going to try to go with the best decision that is possible for all the residents of Cottonwood. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the Verde Valley continues to grow, what are the challenges and opportunities for Cottonwood? Specifically, tell us what you plan to do with these challenges and opportunities. Please, Scott.
I think there's way too many to narrow it down. That can be said just about anywhere. And I think some of the challenges are opportunities as well. As Mr. DeWill said, big business, it is an opportunity, but it is also a challenge. Can the infrastructure support it? I think that is a huge one. I think housing is up there as well. I think fiscal responsibility is just as important to be put up there. As far as housing goes, though, not any one city or town, especially in rural areas, can solve that. So working with others, whether it's other organizations, other municipalities, whoever it can be, developers as well, to bring that affordability here. I think that's important to look at. I'm not saying it's never been looked at, but I feel like there's much more that can be done. And then the infrastructure is the money being spent where it needs to be spent. I personally don't think so. I think a lot of it, can be spent in better ways. How that's presented can be a variety of ways from the staff, questions that get asked about it. What was the second part of that question? Sorry.
What are you going to do? How are you going to solve these challenges? What ideas are you going to bring?
Just like it's been said, though, like not any one person can solve these issues. It's collaborative. We all have to work together, whether it's 7 people on the council and 7 people on the council working with the residents. It's important to listen to what the residents have to say. No decision is ever going to make everybody happy. It doesn't matter who up here is elected to council. You out there will not be happy with some of the decisions that are made, no matter which way they go. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. The next questions have been submitted by
No, you got Heather.
Heather. I'm sorry. If you want me to read the question again, I will find it.
Yeah, sure. You can read it.
Okay. As the Verde Valley continues to grow, what are the challenges and opportunities for Cottonwood? Specifically, tell us what you plan to do with these challenges and opportunities in your elected role.
I think the biggest challenge we have is putting residents first. I think there's a huge opportunity to do this in different ways. I see this every day. I coach soccer, and I see these kids firsthand, and I think of myself when I grew up here. It was hard enough to make a name for yourself in this town back in the day, and now it's even tougher. The primary job they have right now is the tourism industry. There's not a lot of opportunities for these kids. And past that, really just putting the residents first by communication, by transparency, by finances. Why on earth do we have 3 massive buildings that are millions of dollars that we're not using? the Rough Cut building, the wastewater treatment building, and Spectrum. Millions of dollars. And this has been done over the past 5 to 6 years. So it hasn't been one group of city council, it's been a multitude of people. And I can't fix all the mistakes or the lack of common sense that has been made over the past several years. I can't do that overnight. But what I can do is I can think outside the box. I can make sure that I don't just say no to the residents when they ask me a question. I can make sure that I'm meeting with the residents and trying to figure out how we can solve for those issues so we can not just survive in this town, which many families are doing right now. They're merely surviving while our tourists are using this as a playground. I want them to thrive. Thank you.
Stephen, the next question comes from the general public here, and this is a 1-minute question. We'll lead off with you on this one. How does the city of Cottonwood currently communicate with the public, and what should be the priorities for improving communications and public engagement in the future?
Well, it's my belief that the city residents communicate with the city council by a couple of different means. 1, you can email us. 2, you can call us on the phone. 3, you can come to a city council meeting. We'll be happy to talk to you. Personally, I'll be happy to talk to you one-on-one if you want. Email me. We have meetings. We expect you to show up to these meetings. Well, we don't expect, I'm sorry. We would like for you to show up to these meetings. We need to hear your voice. And in order for us to be able to communicate and communicate better, we have to be on a one-on-one basis. You have to be willing, and we have to be willing. I'm more than willing to meet with you anytime you like. It's not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott, same question. How does the city of Cottonwood currently communicate with the public, and what should the priorities be for improving communications and public engagement in the future? 1-minute question.
I think just like anything in the world, it's all turned digital. Most of it's social media. City obviously has a social media page, website as well. They post as much as they can about as much as they can. So does word get out and get ignored? Probably. Does it get out as much as it can and should for a lot of things? Probably not. I heard all the time, excuse me, I heard all the time when I was working for the city and doing certain meetings and stuff, and a lot of people would say, we didn't know about this. So I don't know that there's a perfect answer to get word out more. Perhaps working with the different organizations out there, HOAs, if something's going to affect a neighborhood, reach out to them specifically. Be open to communication from the public, whether it's through the phone or email. I know firsthand, sorry.
You can finish your sentence.
I know firsthand that the city's email does block a lot that doesn't come through. It's for security purposes, so maybe figuring out a way to make sure that those emails from residents do get through and not pushed aside as spam.
Thank you. Heather, I've not forgotten you this time. Same question, you want to repeat?
Yes, can you please repeat?
Okay. How does the city of Cottonwood currently communicate with the public, and what should be the priorities for improving communication and public engagement going forward?
So currently, I know that there's the city council meetings that they have. There's also emails, and I will say I have seen from a couple of people on council, including Chris, I have seen him post on that sort of saying that he's willing to meet with people. I have seen that, and I think that's appreciated from everybody. One thing that I think that we can get better at, though, is I think that we were to take a survey to see if there's any kind of forum where people can come and voice their opinions at a time when they're not working. Because again, a lot of the community, they're barely surviving. They're not thriving. So they're not able to make some of the 6 o'clock meetings. So if we could possibly put a survey out there and ask the residents. We gotta quit speaking for the residents all the time. We gotta start asking them. I think that's the best way to go about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
No,
You gotta
Chris.
do the Dowell.
Mr. Dowell.
He's just making it fair.
Yeah.
I'm just sequentially.
I'm next, right? Then you gotta skip him. You gotta Dowell after that.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I think I got it. The city currently communicates through the typical social media and that kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of those things. I mean, we have to because that's how we get information out. But what the city has done really well as of recent is we've kicked up the coffee with council and those kinds of things. And those are really important engagements because I get to see people one-on-one, they get to see me. It's really hard to look at a citizen in the face when they're standing in front of you and trying to communicate that. And I think that that's really where we need to get is on a personal level. We need to be able to have those. We just had another event this last week and the constituents were they were everywhere. And it was great because you can be all you want to be as a council member until you have to face somebody face to face and sit and eat breakfast with them and say, yeah, I understand, or I don't, so the city just needs to get on a more of a personal level, whatever that looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is also a 1-minute question. We're going to start with Scott. Effective local government often requires collaboration among people with differing perspectives. How do you, as a council member, handle situations where there is a significant disagreement on an issue before the council?
I think it's important to listen to all of the perspectives, have that conversation with the residents, the public, whoever, and have that conversation amongst council as well, and ultimately make that decision based on the facts that are presented, no matter what the topic might be, and do what's ultimately best for the city and the residents in a long-term impact mindset. So not just being short-sighted, but what is that going to look like long-term when we're all replaced by the future generation? How's that going to look? So I think all of that needs to be considered. And I can't say that it always is.
Thank you. We'll move on to Stephen. Same question. You want to repeat?
He just got you.
Would you please repeat the question?
Certainly. Effective local government often requires collaboration among people with differing perspectives. How do you, as a council member, handle situations where there's a significant disagreement on an issue before the council?
Okay, I mentioned earlier, I live with my 5 grandchildren. Anybody that's got kids, let alone grandkids, there's going to be conflict. You need to listen to both sides, or all sides, whatever they may be. You need to try and do that calmly, collectively, quietly, and make sure that you let the people know that you're hearing them and that you're understanding what they are saying. To try and make the right choice in this situation for this question, it's got to do with the cities and it's got to do with the citizens. So you have to listen to them and you've got to try to make the best decision humanly possible for all people concerned.
Heather, can we hear from you on the same question?
So I think that anytime there's a disagreement, it's important, as it's been said many times, I agree with that statement, you have to listen. I also think that it's really important that while you listen, you also try to be a leader at the table. And by being a leader, you can try to see if there's any, sometimes you can get to middle ground, get it? Oftentimes you can't, but sometimes you can. And if you can, that's a good point to do that. And no matter what, I think it's very important that you explain why you're voting the way that you vote. Because what I've seen firsthand, the frustration amongst residents, is they're not being told why somebody's voting the way that they vote. And I think explaining why you vote the way you vote will go a really, really long way to these residents.
Christopher, I haven't forgotten you.
I first and foremost, I think that's what led us to where we were at the last council, is we tried to fight things out on the dais and try to change people's minds on the dais. I will typically give my perspective on something, but I don't feel like I'm going to change somebody's mind while I'm sitting up there. And that's not really my job, to change their mind. My job is to listen to the citizens and vote the way I believe citizens want me to. Now, of course, there's many different ways, because how many citizens do we have? They all look at different things, right? It's just me taking in what I believe is the best way, and just knowing that it doesn't do any good to get into a match with somebody. It doesn't.
Thank you. Heather, I'm going to start the third question here with you.
Can I rebuttal? Is there a rebuttal or no? I can just have it to my closing
It's up to
statement.
you.
If I give you a rebuttal, do others also want a rebuttal? I don't. Let's pass on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's start with you on this next question. The question is, over the past several years, there have been increasing state involvement in areas traditionally governed locally, including zoning, housing policy, municipal revenues. How should local governments respond to this trend? And what approach would you take to protect local decision-making while working within the state law?
How many minutes?
2 minutes, please.
Can you repeat the
I
question?
can. Over the past several years, there has been increasing state involvement in areas traditionally governed locally, including zoning, housing policy, municipal revenues. How should local governments respond to this trend, and what approach would you take to protect local decision-making while working within state law?
Obviously, you want to always follow the rules and regulations that you have. I also, if I'm understanding the question correctly, you're talking about following a trend that's set by other areas nearby. And if that's the case, then I do think it's important to take those into consideration. But when we get down to the zoning, I don't think that it should be easy to change zoning laws. I think that when other people purchase houses or other buildings, they're purchasing it. Part of the reason that they purchase that is because the zoning that is nearby them. And I definitely think that if there is gonna be any changes at all, then we need to thoroughly do our research and see exactly what that looks like. But I would argue that if at all possible, we try not to change the zoning.
Understand.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, thank you. We will continue with Christopher, please. Same question. Should I read it again?
No, I think I'm okay. I think.
Yes?
No, I'm all right. Yeah, maybe you should.
Okay.
Just the first part, just so I can keep my brain in.
I didn't write these questions, so I can't explain what they were about. So, over the past several years, there's been increasing state involvement in areas traditionally governed locally, including zoning, housing, municipal revenues.
So I take that, I take that question differently than Heather did. I take the question as, is the state going to continue to step on the community with the rules and the regulations and all that stuff? And I can tell you that Nothing bothers me more when the state says, this is the rule and it's good for everybody, because it doesn't work. Even from Cottonwood to Sedona, we're different. Cottonwood to Camp Verde, we're different. It should not be like that. The zoning thing that went through the state where they said, okay, only so much goes to planning and zoning, that's completely wrong. It shouldn't be like that. Local governments, we should be the ones doing it. And how do we do that? Well, when we talk to our senators and we talk to our legislators within the state, we tell them that. We say, listen, you're doing this. The best example of that is short-term rentals, right? Like, that's the best example of what we have going on. What happened with that? Now they're actually thinking about, ooh, we may need to change this because it didn't take in the smaller communities in that. So I think it's important that we press local governments, and now we have a body with the city that actually goes out and says that. So they'll ask council members questions, and they say, what do you want us to relay to the legislators and the senators? And we tell them on our own thing, this is what's most important to me and the constituents. So that's part of it, and I think that's how I took the question, and I am for local governance, and the state needs to stop.
Thank you. Same question, moving on to Stephen, please. Happy to reread if you need.
I think I've got it. I kind of take the stance as Councilman Dowell did. I don't think the state should be telling us what we should be doing. I think they can make the suggestion, especially when it comes to the Airbnbs and all of that. We're choking on these things, and that's kind of a problem with housing. So yeah, we need to go back to a local government type thing, and we need to pay closer attention to them to make sure that they're actually permitted and licensed through the city, because there's dollars that can be made by these things. They should be made by these things, and that's why we have them. Excuse me. The state does need to back off a little bit with local government. I think we should try to do our best to govern ourselves. The state, again, can make suggestions, and we can take that, and they can make guidelines, and we can take that. But we don't need to direct follow it. We just need to be guided by it. So, yeah, we need to have a better perspective on the way the state tries to push the cities and towns around, and it needs to stop.
Thank you. Scott, same question goes to you, and happy to reread it.
I think I'm okay. I'm lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, to actually deal with this every single day, and what I do. Been involved with it for the last few years, all the way back to when the state didn't take towns and cities' abilities to regulate short-term rentals. The unfortunate part is how we get that information out to the public, because the public turns and blames the cities and the towns, and it's not them that are restricting it, it's the state. Last year, if you're not aware, they took away even more ability for the public to have a say in subdivision plats and design reviews. All of that now has to be administrative. The public doesn't get a say because the state says you don't need to have a public meeting anymore. Let's be glad that we don't meet the population threshold of 75,000 people that everybody south of us meets, because they have more stuff, more burdens on them where they have to allow certain types of projects and buildings and whatnot in the zones that don't otherwise lend themselves to be handle those. So yeah, I think the state does need to back off. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I've always said personally that if you want to know why, look at the background of most state legislatures, and they all have their finger in real estate. So that's just my personal perspective, but I think that's a big reason why they do what they do. And as mentioned, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Every part of Arizona is different. I think there's a select few cities and towns that perhaps have regulations that are a little far-fetched, and that is what pushes the state to say, okay, we're going to change it for everybody, and you have to do this and allow this. So yeah, I think they should back off. I do get to be a part of the League of Cities and Towns calls, legislative calls, so I have my finger in it pretty consistently every week, if not every day.
Thank you, thank you. Next question is a 1-minute question, and we're gonna just keep going with you, Scott, so if you want some water, now's the time. 1-minute question. Many challenges facing Cottonwood, including transportation and workforce housing, require regional cooperation. What role should Cottonwood play with regional initiatives and working with neighbor communities and regional partners to address these issues?
I think everybody should be on board with working together and having that collaboration. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. There's not any one location that can solve the housing issue. It's got to be a broader initiative. I know there's a couple organizations out there, or at least one bigger one here in the Verde Valley that tries to, it's a private nonprofit, they try to help with the housing. If we can all come together and work together, do what we can, I think that'll go a long ways. I was on a call this morning with all the other jurisdictions, Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Sedona, Camp Verde, because of the state mandate that we have to provide pre-approved housing plans for the public as effective July 1st. So that is an example of all of us working together to solve an issue, and I think we can all do more to continue down that road.
Thank you. We'll move that question to Stephen, please.
Will you repeat it for me, please, Mr. Cook?
Repeat.
Yes.
Many challenges facing Cottonwood, including transportation and workforce housing, require regional cooperation. What role should Cottonwood play in regional initiatives to work with neighboring communities and regional partners to address these challenges? Well, this is a 1 minute.
Okay, well, we currently in Cottonwood, we've got a public transportation department, CATS, and I think it's a good program. Yeah, we can use more. We need to get some better funding for this type of a thing. There's Enchantment in Sedona. They have their own busing system, and it works for them. And the resorts have bought a lot of houses here in Cottonwood to house their employees. It's going to be a tough go, no matter where you go with it, but we do need better and more public transportation. That's it, just better and more.
Thank you. Christopher, you get the same question. Happy to reread it.
I think I'll put on this one. Well, I'm going to be frank on this one, and I'm going to be just down and to the point. I think we do a very good job of attempting to collaborate with regional assets around us and trying to do that. The problem is Cottonwood always ends up as the lead. And then when we end up as the lead, we end up picking a large part of the bill up. So we really need to get with our other communities around us and say, hey, we're okay with taking a lead, but we can't take the lead and put it on the backs of, everybody else. So I think it's important that, just like transportation, the county says to us, well, we're going to give you some money for transportation, but we can't support the whole way. Well, we support that there. We keep those things going. So I think there's really got to be a balance between how we communicate regionally, how we get that done, and not just saying, okay, Cotton will take the lead and we'll pay for everything.
Thank you. Heather, you get the same question. Happy to repeat.
Oh, sure, can you repeat it?
Sure. Many challenges facing Cottonwood, includes transportation, workforce housing, that all require regional cooperation. What role should Cottonwood play in regional initiatives to work with neighboring communities and regional partners to address these challenges?
I think at a regional level and then even going up to a state level, right? I think it's really important that everybody within the city, all the leadership within the city stays up to date on the different House bills. So it's been mentioned there is a House bill that Katie Hobbs signed into law, which regulates the Airbnb, or makes it so that the towns themselves cannot regulate the Airbnbs, and it's put in the state's hands. And I do agree with the statement that it should not be in the state's hands. We need more local government, but it comes down to education, making sure that all the leadership within the city is educated about those different House bills, about when they're going to be voted on, and then make sure that we do the proper lobbying as well. And I can't say enough, educate, educate, educate. And when you're having coffee with the different residents, educate them, because sometimes the residents want to help, but they don't know how to help. So I think that's the most important thing, is to educate.
Thank you. We're going to move on
If
to
there's a
a,
misstatement, if there's a factual misstatement, can that be corrected?
let's address that at the end of, if we will, please.
Okay.
Thank you. We have a 1-minute question coming, and we're going to start with Steve. Cottonwood is part of a broader Verde Valley watershed. How would you work with neighboring communities and partners to protect the Verde River and ensure long-term water security?
Well, first and foremost, right now, we are in water strategy. I'd say number one. We need to adhere to that. We need to try to preserve our water. We don't need to be wasting it. If you see like a neighbor that's got water running down the street, you might want to knock on their door and say, hey, what's going on here? We have water here. That's not the issue. The issue is we need to try to preserve it as best as we possibly can, collectively. Talk to each other. Respect when restrictions are put down on you. And just try not to waste water in any way, shape, or form. I know I'd love to have a green lawn, but it's not going to happen. And I understand that. We all need to understand and respect it. Thank you.
Heather, you get the same question.
Can you repeat?
I will. Cottonwood is part of a broader Verde Valley watershed. How would you work with neighboring communities and partners to protect the Verde River and to ensure long-term regional water security?
Well, I would make sure that we're collaborating with folks as far as, I think we could do a better job on reclaimed water. I think we could do a better job with retaining ponds. I know Gilbert does a really good job with retaining ponds and reclaimed water. We're always talking about water, and I don't know that we necessarily get into the details about it being more of a quality issue. And so I think that there's definitely ways that we can make sure that if the water is not quality, we're still using it in other ways. Again, retaining ponds, maybe using it on our lawns, but I would work with different folks to make sure that we're really doing the best with the ditches and then any kind of retaining ponds that we can use as well.
Thank you. Scott, you get the same question.
Go ahead, repeat it, please.
Cottonwood is part of a broader Verde Valley watershed. How would you work with neighboring communities and partners to protect the Verde River and ensure long-term water security?
I think the biggest part of that is collaboration, just like with a lot of things. Where can we work together? What is working, what's not? Can there be redundancy in the systems with jurisdictions that are extremely close to make sure that if somebody has an issue, they're not wasting water, they're not losing water. We don't want to end up like all the western states with the Colorado River, where it's kind of a, everybody for themselves. That's not the way to do it. Making sure that if anybody has a large issue or large potential development that would put a strain on anything for anybody else, there's a way to discuss that, work through it, talk about it, and make sure that one location is not going to negatively affect another.
Thank you. I have a note here in front of me. Thank you. Maybe a misspeak, but it was not Katie Hobbs that signed the short-term rental bill. It was Doug Ducey. Moving on to a 2-minute question. I did
Tell me
not-
what you got to other people.
Excuse me. Thank you for keeping me on track. Sorry. That's a coach. That's a coach. Repeat?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I've done a lot of research on the water and where we're at here, and quite honestly, we here have enough water for us. It's not us who is eating the water up. It's the outside sources, the pumps upriver, how much gets to flow downriver, right? How much does Phoenix need from our river system? So it's really about regional collaboration of keeping these external entities out of our water. We really need to, I know the water litigation thing has been going on for years and years, and we've done our part, but I think it's really, we have to get together as a community, as Clarkdale, Cottonwood, Camp Verde, and Sedona, and just say, listen, this is what it is, and we got to keep the other large people with their buckets who need water from taking it from us.
Thank you, Scott, for keeping me honest. We've got a 2-minute question coming, and we will start with Christopher. The question is, what are the top 3 issues facing Cottonwood in the next 2 years, and how would you meet these challenges? Please be specific with what resources are needed to address these issues.
Top 3. First one is, this is a sales-based city, and we may end up going through some serious times with how people spend money. So we're really going to have to be conscious of how we're spending it, what that looks like, and prepare for the downturn, because it's coming. The question is, how much is it coming? And be prepared for that. Make sure we have the money in the reserves to do those kinds of things that we have to do. Next one is growth, really. Everybody says, oh, there's so much growth here. That's not true. In the city of Cottonwood, we've been pretty level for I don't know how long, right? And again, it's about doing what we can to leave just the way it is, but at the same time, people say, hey, I don't have any employees for my business. And why don't you? Well, they say I don't have any housing, right? Well, what's that step? What are the things I have to do it? What comes first? Is it housing, or is it the job, or is it the education, right? So all these things. So that's the challenge, is figuring those things out. What should come first in order to sustain this? And then lastly, I think the challenge really becomes, again, the collaboration. Making sure that we are open to the collaboration, because that will be a challenge. We're not acting all as one in the Verde Valley, or at least on the same page. That's going to cause problems in the future, especially as growth occurs. So, thank you.
Heather, you can get to respond to that again, and I can read it if you'd like. What are the top 3 issues facing Cottonwood in the next 2 years, and how would you meet these challenges? Please be specific. What resources are needed to address these issues?
So the top 3, they morph into one. I don't believe that the residents are being put first right now. But public safety is a huge issue right now. And as far as we're just not utilizing enough of our funds and our resources in that. And there is a high turnover rate right now at the fire department as well. So I think that that is a big issue. The second issue is the ability for families to stay here. It's really tough for families to stay here right now because that gap between housing and the price of housing, the median income is just so big. And then the third issue is transparency. Again, I just think that we can do a better job at being more transparent with the residents as far as when meetings are going to take place. Again, those surveys going out to see when residents can possibly meet, maybe more coffees so they can talk through it again. Really doing all of those things. And as far as the housing and the income growing closer together, that really comes to helping diversify jobs more. And so again, going back to that public safety again, really making sure that the fire department, the police department, even the city is well funded to be able to hire the staff and make sure that people want to stay working there. I mean, the turnover rate for all of those is fairly high, and so I think really making sure that the city is an enjoyable place to work and all those public safety places, I think that would help as well.
I would say housing, infrastructure, and fiscal responsibility. I think they all go hand in hand. I think, I've mentioned housing a few times, and it's bigger than just the city, but it's, something the city could work towards, whether it's coming up with new ideas, working with the right developers. Infrastructure kind of goes hand in hand with ADOT, working with them a little bit closer. I know the highways run through here, but there are not very many side streets that the city owns that are in very good shape either. And that goes into the fiscal responsibility. Where is that money allocated? It's my understanding, I'm not an expert on it, so it's my understanding though that there's not that much money allocated every year to do improvements to many of the streets. I've been trying for a couple of years to get a big bump in a street fixed, and it's falling on deaf ears. Why? I have no idea. And then that fiscal responsibility also falls into planning ahead for what was mentioned, the potential downturn. Don't be reactive to it, be proactive, plan for it. Make sure that the city's in a good spot that if and when it happens, we don't lose all the services and scrambling to figure out what to do.
Okay. Did I miss anybody?
Yeah, Stephen.
Linda Barger, yeah, I didn't get a chance. If you would, please read the question again.
Absolutely. What are the top 3 issues facing Cottonwood in the next 2 years, and how would you meet these challenges? Please be specific. What resources are needed to address these issues?
Well, it's kind of a horse that we're gonna beat to death, and that's housing. Housing is a huge problem, and it will always be a problem no matter what. That's just the way it's gonna be. Boils down to kind of a greed type of thing. Hey, I got a house, and somebody from California is probably gonna come buy it, so I'm gonna raise the rate. Greed. We just, yeah. Housing is always gonna be a problem. Taxes, yeah. Taxes are gonna be a problem. Infrastructure is gonna be a problem. They're all gonna go hand in hand, and yes, they're all going to be basically one issue because they can't exist without the other. We're not gonna be able to wipe one out. What do we do? What can we do? I'm not an expert. I have absolutely no idea. The best that I can come up with is we can try to get rates and prices lowered somehow, some way. We can't We can't expect to be able to sit here and have our hand out to the federal government. We've got to try and figure this out ourselves. The best way to do it, I don't have that answer. But collectively, hopefully, we can put all of our heads together and we can come up with an answer that will work for absolutely everyone. Thanks.
Mr. Perry, you dropped.
I'm dropping a piece of paper down there.
Thank you.
To your right, sir. One chair over.
This next question is a 1-minute question, and we will start with Heather on this one. Over the past 2 years, what policy decisions or actions of the city council in Cottonwood are you most proud of, and which actions do you think need the most help or not adequately addressed? Most proud, underserved, 1-minute question.
I don't know that it's necessarily a decision, because I know that it is part of the meeting, like part of the meeting structure in city council. But one thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that during each council meeting, everybody talks about where they volunteer. I think that is really nice to hear where folks volunteer and give their time to the community. You know, it's just one thing for proud of, correct? And then
Underserved, yes.
And then as far as disappointed, fiscal responsibility, extremely disappointed. I know that we, after purchasing the rough cut, after purchasing the failed water treatment plant, we then purchased a Spectrum building that we're not currently using. And even though there may be plans for it, we're not currently using it. So I am disappointed in that, and I am disappointed that the city council, well, albeit not everybody voted yes, there are people here that voted no, or at least one person that voted no, but I'm disappointed that they raised the fees that the city council is getting paid by 20%.
Scott, please.
I'd say as far as the decision that I would be most proud of is it's hard to pinpoint, and at the risk of sounding contradictory, I would say a lot of the overall moving forward of the city as a whole. I think there's been a lot of good things. I know the new general plan was revised. That was a big thing. That made a lot of difference. I feel like it's being used a lot more. As far as negative, I'm going to kind of echo what Heather said, with the fiscal responsibility and the purchase of those buildings and the amount of people moving into them versus how big they are. There's going to be a lot of wasted space. And I know that, planning ahead, like I mentioned earlier, plan for growth. Okay, that's fine, but 50 years from now, they're probably not going to grow all the way to that building.
Thank you. Stephen, same question to you.
A couple of things that I'm most proud of. The fact that this city council works so well together. Whether we agree or disagree with each other, we can still talk to each other. And that's really huge compared to the former council. The next thing that I'm proud of, the repurposing that we are doing with the wastewater treatment plant. It's going to be, and that's where we're at, the city council chambers. Let's repurpose this building that shouldn't have been purchased in the first place. But that's besides the point. The Spectrum building, yes, it's going to be redone, and I'm proud of that. We're going to have all the city officers' offices in one building. It's going to make it easier for our residents to circumvent through the government for their needs. That's it.
Christopher.
Well, I think, from my perspective, the thing I'm most proud of is that we got a city manager who's working his fanny off, and we were finally able to come together and pick one who was perfect for where we were, right? I mean, yeah, we got a lot of guff for him being from California, but I think he has worked out, and I think we're stable now. We got ways to go still, but I think we're moving in the right direction. And I think that the council had to come together to make that happen. He's leading the city as I think that should happen. And I'm going to echo what they talked about, the worst part, and that's still the rough cut building. What do we do with that? Where's that? I think the good thing was that we bought the other building, but that's got to get going, and the rough cut, we got to figure out what we're going to do with that. That thing is, well, it's been a thorn in the city's side for how many years now, and hopefully we can get it finished here in the next couple.
Thank you. Next question is a 1-minute question, and we will start, please, with Scott. What strategies would you support to diversify Cottonwood's economy beyond tourism and service?
I know they've partnered with retail organizations to try to bring in, additional businesses. I think that goes hand in hand with the smart growth that's been mentioned. It's inevitable, it will happen. Can it be supported, and where can it be supported? This will always be a touristy area. And it'll always have the wine aspect to it that won't go away, at least for a very long time. So, no, we shouldn't rely on that solely, but don't put all of our eggs, in that one basket, and work with the organizations that the city can work with to bring in reasonable businesses. I can open up a whole other argument of national chains versus mom and pop. I think a little bit of both is not bad. Do we want every national chain out there here? No. And we lose that small town character.
Same question goes to Steve.
Repeat it for me, please, sir.
Yeah. What strategies would you support to diversify Cottonwood's economy beyond tourism and service?
Well, my personal opinion, I think we put too much on the whole wine thing. Not everyone in the country drinks wine. Wine's a good thing, but I don't think we should concentrate so much on that and make that such a big part of our tourism. There's a lot more here to offer. There's just so many things, and we need to try to think about them a little bit more when it comes time for our whole trying to bring funds in. We need to invite all aspects, and not just tourists, but businesses as well. These are important mom and pop type places. They need to be supported as well. But we need to kind of downplay, in my opinion, and I'm probably not going to be well liked for this, but the whole wine, I just, it's too much.
Christopher, please.
Well, Heather and I had this conversation last election cycle, and I'm going to go back to it. Our problem is there's nothing here for our middle age people, right? My wife left here when she was 18 because there wasn't any opportunity here. She left, and we wanted to come back. We have to find a way to fill that gap here, right? Which is working with Yavapai College, working with whoever it is that can provide us some work skill. VAC is a great idea, right? We're doing those kinds of things, and then we got to find a way to get manufacturing here. And when I say manufacturing, things that help us here. The truss place in Canterbury, great idea, right? We need that kind of thing. We need something more than just service, retail, and retirees. We have to find a way to diversify so our kids can stay here. My daughter went to NAU, got a useless, we're gonna call it a useless degree, right? And then she said, I want to be a nurse. And she went to Yavapai College, she got her nursing degree, and now she's here at VVMC. Her biology degree wasn't going to do anything for her here. So that's what we have to do, is we have to think about what can we teach them that keeps them here, and it helps us as a community.
Thank you. Heather, can you address the same?
I think there's a couple of things we can do. One, we can clean up what we have. We have all these ordinances that say you shouldn't have weeds that are nuisances, and I think that, we can do a better job as a city to clean up our streets. Like, if I'm a new business coming in, I'm not loving all these weeds I'm seeing all over the place. So I think, to echo what's been said earlier, while it's great to have tourism, don't think we should have all our eggs in one basket, and we should clean up after people. Like, they come in here, they make it their playground, but it's still our home. That's the most important thing, that it's our home. So I really think focusing our efforts on cleaning up, and then also focusing efforts, the city could put together similar to the coffee things we have at the city council. We could put it together with firefighters and public safety and entrepreneurs, and have those entrepreneurs invest into the young people here so they can give back, and it's more sustainable. And then for generations and generations, we just keep feeding off of each other to make this community greater instead of going in different ways on decisions. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Steve, we're going to start the next 1-minute question with you. Homelessness is a growing concern in Cottonwood and in the Verde Valley. What strategies would you support to address people experiencing homelessness, including both short-term responses and long-term situations? This is a 1 minute.
Okay, you saw Mr. Dowell and I looking at each other. That's because I actually work for the Verde Valley Homeless Coalition. We do have a huge problem with homeless in this area. I don't care how Sedona wants to look at it, or Parkdale or Canterbury or anybody else. We have a huge problem. We do what we can with the Homeless Coalition. We only have beds for 20 people, and we're full every night. We need funding. We need outside funding. We need personal funding from residents to make this work. We're doing what we can, but we need help. You don't like to see them? Well, then give us some money. I don't know how to put it any other way. Donate some money to us, because the funding is going away, and we're doing everything that we can on our level, but we need your help.
Thank you. Same question comes to you, Heather.
The first thing that should happen is, as far as the Homeless Coalition, I would be interested in finding out what's happening. Do we have a gap we need to fill with mental health here? Is that what we need to do? Is it a combination of two different things, is it job and mental health? Or is it even deeper than that? Are we bringing in other people from other cities and saying, hey, we have all these abundant resources, come here? I like to dive deeper into that to see which one it is, and then from there, really work through each of those points, because it's not one thing that makes somebody homeless. It's usually a couple of different factors in one. So there's not one answer to that, but finding out what's causing the homelessness or where they're coming from first, that's the first step.
Thank you. This question now comes to Scott.
I think I think Heather's right, where does it come from? What's causing it? And I think, on the surface, everybody can say, well, the cost of housing, that doesn't help. Inflation, wages, people can't keep up, it all snowballs. I would want to look at all of the resources out there as a whole. The Homeless Coalition is only one resource, so they can only do so much. They can only have their 20 beds. They need the help, like Mr. Koulis just said. But what other resources are out there? Is there another organization here and here and here that are doing a little bit as much as they can because they don't have a lot of financial resources? Can those be combined to make it a bigger and broader resource instead of so many different people doing just a little bit? Can it be combined to make it a bigger, more helpful entity, organization, whatever it might be, to reach out and help those people?
Thank you. I think that at this point, we should have closing statements.
He's wearing that cloak of invisibility.
3 times.
It's just a code of silence.
This is kind of in my wheelhouse, I guess I'll say. When I worked down in the valley, we come across homeless people, people who needed help, and it was just like click another number, right? Didn't see them again, and you were gone. When I moved up here, I quickly realized that the people I was coming across day in and day out, no matter what I did. So I had to kind of find a new solution. What's the solution? Because what I did in the valley wasn't working up here. Well, the solution is, there isn't one solution. It has to be the community. It has to start, we started the program with the police department, at least to help with resources. Resources, resources, resources. And remember one thing, we are not going to stop homelessness. We can mitigate it. We can help. We can help the people who want help. We can even try to help the people who don't want our help, but it's never going to end. And we need to make sure we remember that. And as a community, we take care of them too. It's not just the government's problem, right? Help those people.
Thank you. Well, I got to answer the question, right? All right, let's prepare for closing statements. Heather started last time, so let's start with Scott on this end. Whatever you want to say as a closing statement for 1 minute.
All right. I don't have a lot to add. Kind of like I said, I grew up here. Yes, I left for a little bit, but I came back, raising my daughter here. I love it. Yeah, I've seen the growth. Do I like all of it? Not necessarily, but I understand it. Plan on being here for a while. Hopefully till I can retire in 30 years if I have to keep buying horses. Yeah, if you want fresh blood, I'll do what I can. I will, like I've said a few times, fiscal responsibility is, I think, hugely important. Personally, I'm cheap in my personal life, so I, look at things and look at things and look at things before I say, okay, let's spend money. So I think we need to look at Cottonwood first in a lot of aspects, not to say that we shouldn't still work with other jurisdictions, but I think, as has been said, we need to put Cottonwood first in some aspects.
Thank you. Stephen.
Final remarks. Wow. First and foremost, I'm going to do a little plug here. The end of July, as we all know, is when we vote. We don't go to vote in the polls in August this year. I'm not real sure what happened there, but I just want to remind everybody that. Make sure that you vote for the person that you feel is going to be best for one of the 3 seats that we are buying for. Make sure that they are the one that you want. Try to get more involved in your community. Go to city council meetings. Make yourself heard. try to convey what you feel and what you think would be best for your city. Talk to your city council members, no matter who they are, and make sure that they understand where you stand and what you feel. And that's it. Thanks.
Mr. Dowell, please.
I took this job because I thought change needed to happen here in the council level. I think that's been done. I would have loved to serve for you, and that's exactly what it is. I've had a life of service. This is what this is. If you didn't choose me, then it's not my time to serve anymore. I would like to serve you. I would like to continue my service with the city, and just know that decisions aren't made easily. Sometimes they're hard, and people don't like every decision. But if you want to see who I really am, just look at my voting record, and I think you'll see that who I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Cottonwood, please.
So if you all remember one thing tonight, I hope you'll remember that my passion is to put residents first. I like to be able to listen and collaborate, and again, try to find middle ground where we can. That doesn't mean we argue with each other. That just means we listen at the different ways we can possibly come to the same middle ground if possible. Because sometimes we're talking past each other. We don't even realize we're saying almost the same thing. And again, oftentimes we can't agree, and that's what the votes are for. But again, I want more transparency, I want more fiscal responsibility, and I really want to include public safety. Because I want the kids that are here today to not have to leave like other people who have spoken today had to leave, or they've heard of somebody that had to leave and then come back. I want them to be able to stay here, and I really want to be able to make this hometown home for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you candidates for your participation in this forum, and to you, audience, for being so courteous, and for your attention and participation. Also want to thank the candidates for piping in when I messed up. Thank you so much for your civility on that. Remember, election day for this primary is July 21st. The last day to register to vote, to change your party registration, or to update your address is June 22nd. Ballots will be mailed, and the first day to file an early ballot is June 24th. Completed ballots can be returned by mail or dropped off at an election location in your town or city or country election offices. Thank you, candidates, for being part of this forum. And to all voters, remember, voting is people power. Thank you so much.